as I just explained, corporate strategy, this is the generic strategy overall for all the business units. This, you can treat this as the company or the group strategy. It is a high level, all right? And that it covers many business units, many areas. We don't differentiate it too much regarding the corporate strategy and then the business strategy. Sometimes we just call them company strategy. This including growth, right? Define how we grow, which area, which business unit, or let's say we can, the strategy can define whether we are, doing this so-called the retrenchment, shrink it down, right? Reduce our operation. I mean, right? Different companies, their strategy can be very different. Not always grow. If I talk about department stores, I don't know whether Kmart is still existing, but like if we talk about the JCPenney or those dealers, right? Those department stores, actually they are doing this so-called the retrenchment strategy. Stability, but for me, stability is quite conservative, right? Retrenchment, the second one is reducing, decreasing, right? Stability is more like maintaining, okay? So this is for the newcomer, new company, like they try to maintain their market share, trying to maintain their market position. Now I realize that once we talk about the strategy, it is good to show you some of the example. I find that this is Yum Brands, all right? Yum Brands. Actually, we have already introduced the Yum Brands. They have their strategy. I think this is not very new, but let's say a couple of years ago. But the interesting is they defined the three different, let's say, areas, right, for their strategy. The company want to be, more focused, more franchised, and then more efficient. Same store sales growth, new restaurant development. See, not only domestic, but also around the world. Okay, so this grows more about the sales, more about the market share, but also they have their own specific strategy component regarding the franchise restaurant ownership. They want to own more restaurants, start from 77% to 93%. They want to own, they want to operate by themselves. You get the ownership. You enjoy the benefit, you enjoy the profits. Also, you can control the quality, you can control the service, you can control the delivery. A overarching strategy, or we call like a generic, it's a grand strategy, okay? And then the last one is improve their efficiency, all right? Once we talk about improve efficiency, cost, right? Trying to save the costs. This example tells us about the corporate strategy. Once they talk about the corporate strategy, they have this so-called portfolio approach, right? The portfolio approach means that the corporation is the collection, right? Like the overarching or business unit. Underneath, they have this so-called the strategic business unit. Walmart, Sam's Club, those are the business units of Walmart company, right? And then also if we talk about the Yum Brands, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, right? Those are the like a portfolio, or we call this portfolio approach. The company can define the strategy for each of the business units, right? But honestly, since this is the corporate strategy, they just combine together. One strategy for all. The business units, they can adapt or they can develop their own, the business unit strategy, or we just simply call this business strategy. Mainly, we are talking about the growth, right? The market growth. And then we talk about the market share. Important, but usually we don't explicitly discuss. It is the profit and then the cost structure. This is additional information you needed to understand. That I just tell you, like once we talk about portfolio approach, we might differentiate different business units, but those different business units, they have, let's say, different, either we call like the position, the market share, market position, right? Or they have different life cycles. They are at the different stages of their life cycles. Portfolio strategy they define, they give a different, let's say, title for the, for those, let's say, the business units when they have like different market positions. So the best is the star, right? How to understand? Your market share is high, all right? Your growth rate is high. Market share, growth rate, both put together, this means the stars. This is cash cow, all right? Market share means you dominate the market. It is not to grow that quick, all right? The best is the star. The second best is the cash cow, in my opinion, okay? So the third one is, they call it the question marks. Don't know, grow very fast, but the market share not very high. The profitability is uncertain, right? The profitability is uncertain. You give a question mark. But if you see the dog, small share, stable market, not growing very fast. Although they might keep it for a while, but later on, if this getting worse and worse, all right, not to grow, small market share, later on, the company might sell it, all right, in the future. The idea behind that is for the corporation, for the company, they needed to treat this differently. Unlike the Yum Brands, the corporate strategy, they treat all those, let's say, business units quite similarly. Life cycle approach, like this business unit, they can start from like a development, the growth, right? So there will be the very strong competition, right? Maturity, right? Maturity like hit almost the top, and then they started to decrease. It can be the long period of time, a shorter period of time, but usually they will get increase, and then they will hit the top, right? The peak. We call like a saturation, right? And then they started to decline. You see the trend is trending down, right? But somehow like the strategy is trying to lift this up to extend. Don't make it like a fixed diagram. So what we do as the manager, we try to extend this, right? Try to extend this, make it longer, and then also we know eventually we will get through this declining. We'll get into this declining phase. But the idea behind that is, then the second, types of strategy, we're talking about the business strategy. As I just mentioned, business strategy, corporate strategy. Big company, they have the corporate strategy, they have the big business strategy. Small company, we have only business strategy, or we call company strategy, very specific, right? Very specific strategy. In the textbook, we introduced something regarding the problem-solving strategy. As the manager, right? We have the function. So we needed to, trying to develop the strategy and then trying to solve different problems, right? But personally, I don't like this, problem-solving strategy very much, okay? Why? Because it's more like a reactive. We have the problem and then we solve the problem. But actually, our strategic planning or our strategy should be proactive, more like we needed to define our direction and then define the way, the path to get there, right? Remember the definition of strategy: strategic business alternative, the defending, right? Prospecting and analyzing. Defending, easy to understand, the very conservative. Prospecting is comparative, aggressive, growing. Actually, we have mentioned that, right? Just give different name. Analyzing is similar to this maintaining, stabilizing, right? The strategy. What I want to share with you is more about this so-called competitive strategy, right? So not using this adaptive model. We are more using this competitive strategy. How we can, as we just mentioned, the Yum Brands strategy, growth, efficiency, right? And then customer centric, right? Those are like the strategy. The interesting is those are like a very important component, right? In order to grow or in order to increase the market share, we needed to focus on the differentiation, product, business unit, right? Service, how we can differentiate, why we differentiate. We want to gain more market share. We want to grow, okay? And then the second is cost leadership. See, cost structure, right? Efficiency. Once we call targeting, we can targeting the specialized market, or we are targeting the customer segment. So this is in my word, this is about the customer centric, right? The customer centered strategy. We talk about the Walmart's business strategy, right? Every day lowers the price, easy. All right, corporate business, this is easy to understand. All the function together, we can achieve that. Okay, if you have only the pricing, like, oh, pricing, we lower the price, but you don't lower the cost, you don't trying to be efficient, right? Along this value adding chains, you're losing money, right? And then this is against your, like your overall competitive strategy. Take a look at the Pizza Hut example. I think you already started to reading that. Pizza Hut strategy, they want to be the easiest, fastest, and then the tastiest pizza brand. And then take a look at Domino's Pizza, right? So you know those big players, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesar, Papa John's, right? They also want to add more stores to existing market. This is about the growth, right? And then to cut down delivery time. See, delivery time is the fast, right? Fast component. And then close to carry out customers. Carry out customer is the customer visiting the restaurant, right? So they are more like ordering, combined ordering, and then the delivery system. It seems to me Domino's, they're quite confident with their taste. All right, and then the last one is the functional strategy. The functional strategy, those strategies are supporting the business corporate strategies. Or many textbooks, they directly jump into those functional strategy. I don't like that very much. They started to talk about the marketing strategy, or they start to talk about when they start talk about planning, right? They start to talk about the strategic marketing planning, strategic financial planning, strategic HR planning, strategic what else? Operation planning. If we don't talk about the corporate strategy, we don't talk about the business strategy, although functional strategy is important, as I said, but what strategy we support, right? What is the big strategy we support? Our strategy supported the big strategy. I choose this textbook. This textbook started from the strategy, right? The corporate, like corporate strategy, the business strategy, and then down to the functional strategy. But also, again, we mentioned about the SWOT analysis, strengths and weakness. Strengths is they have the high level strategy. The weakness is they don't talk too much regarding the, this functional strategy. All right, that means we don't have a chapter talk about marketing strategy. We don't have a chapter talk about financial strategy. We don't have a chapter talk about the HR strategy. I leave it to you. You will have like a dive deeper into this so-called marketing strategy in your marketing class, financial strategy in your finance class. I was the deputy head of training, okay? I have my functional strategy, the training strategy integrated into the HR strategy. I was like the senior manager for delivery project. I have the delivery strategy, but delivery strategy is one part of the operation strategy. Here they use the production strategy, but let me change this production strategy to operation strategy. Ask yourself a good question later or now, okay? What is your company strategy? What is your company's marketing strategy? Financial strategy, okay? So once they talk about the profit, right? How much they want to maximize the stakeholder or stockholders share, whatever, all right? So this is again shareholder oriented strategy, okay? But anyway, this is belong to the functional strategy. Other things like the operation strategy, very specific, right? I mentioned about the delivery, right? we mentioned about the cost structure, talk other strategy, we talk about HR, we can talk about the training, right? Information strategy, right? Information strategy. And then we can also have like this so-called the procurement strategy. After you define the low-level functional strategy, then we talk about the tactics, actions,